Welcome to the MixCoach podcast, the podcast dedicated to making you a more skilled and confident mixer. The MixCoach podcast takes both submitted questions from our free members and live questions from our pro members. If you'd like to submit a question or find out how to become a pro member, head over to mixcoach.com/free. All right, we've got Alexis asking, any advice on vocal reverb? I'm never really happy with it in my mixes. What is the first option? Hall, plate, room. So what's the first option you reach for whenever you reach for a hall or a plate or a room kind of sound?
Or are you asking if we reach for a hall, a plate, or a room?
Ah, that could be it as well. So what's our favorite?
I tend to go for the plate, a vocal plate. But there again, it's all an experimentation. I think I have halls that I like. I mean, I can tell you my go-tos. On the vocal verb lately, what I've been using is the EMT 140, and I usually won't change anything about it. It's the middle.
Yeah.
On the Universal Audio, it's the middle preset.
Okay.
The ones on either side, I don't like either one of them.
Gotcha.
The one in the middle I like, and I'll pull the reverb return on that plate back until it's just like not, washy or whatever.
Gotcha.
On the Altiverb, I used to use the 250, which is a digital reverb copy, I guess, and I would use the 1.8 preset on that one.
Yeah.
That was always good.
Yeah.
On the 480L, I'll use, if it's a big ballad, I'll use medium and hall.
Okay.
And then sometimes I'll use, if it's a fast song, I'll use, I think it's called Music Club.
Okay.
I think I stole that from J.R. McNeely. But Vocal Club is kind of one of those presets that you go to.
Yeah.
That's pretty much my bag of tricks on as far as verb. If I want,
and then deverb.
And then deverb. Deverb's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you want a longer reverb, you might want to put a delay.
Yeah.
Just before it with at about 50%, so that you're getting just as much pre-delay as you're getting delay, so you actually doubling your reverb kind of, without having to change
the room sound or like the length, so you get weird artifacts, that sort of thing. So you're basically just getting a little bit longer of a tail. So something about like the reverbs, I use TL Space, or it's just called Space now. And so that's really nice as well. So I usually use the hall there, that's a medium hall, or the plate on that. That's really a nice plate. On deverb, basically, it was funny. Like we were talking, and I think we mentioned this a couple of months ago on one of the like tutorials or walkthroughs that we did on we're referencing again the Devin McGlamory record. And basically I pull up the reverb for his vocal, and I'm like, this sounds really good. This reverb's really good. And it's like the default, you open deverb, and that's the setting, And I pulled it up, and I was like shocked to find this, and I was like, how does it sound that good? And it just sounded good. So
actually, I think a lot of people probably think too much about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, people that obsess over reverb, it's like, I don't know. You either like it or you don't. And if you can find it. Now, I will tell you that I used a Bricasti last year when we were at the NAMM show. I got to sit and listen to the Bricasti verb, which is that $4,000 verb, I guess, that a lot of people are using, and it really was amazing. I could have used every preset on that, but I guess my advice to you would be, find a verb that works. Which any vocal. Just go through them. Maybe when you're not doing a session, when you're not doing a mix, go through the verbs and just go like it. I mean, go with your instinct. If you say, "Oh, that's cool," I mean, put cool verb. Kevin's cool verb. I do that a lot, and then even you can even set that as the default when it comes up, because when you don't want to really be hindered too much with reverb trails and early reflections and that sort of thing when you're trying to mix. So just take a day and go through all your verbs and just find the ones you like and forget about every other one.
Valhalla is the Bricasti substitute for $50, supposedly. This is what Zoli is saying.
Wow.
It has been compared to it, so believe it or not. So
I'll be buying that then.
$50 maybe.
Because, I've downloaded you've used it? Good. I downloaded
Dan says he's used it. I love it.
Some of the Bricasti presets for waves. And I don't know, something, the trail is just cut off.
Yeah.
It's a nice sample, but it's just cut off. So.
What's interesting, and there's a follow-up question here from Baloo, but it's interesting, like the quality of the verb, a lot of times, like you said, go with your gut, because the quality of the verb, a lot of times if you have a low-quality verb, or if you're trying to use something that just isn't working, you'll want to push the verb hotter and hotter and hotter, so there's a lot of verb on it, versus if you use a really good quality reverb, it's not nearly as loud, but you perceive it a lot more. So it's like, especially like on like vocal, like AC, adult contemporary kind of vocal tracks, you'll hear these big long reverbs that you think are just massive, but they may not really be really loud. It's just a good solid verb, like the Bricasti or like those types of things. Baloo says, on the subject of reverb, is there a big difference between convolutions, IR, etc., or just whatever works?
I mean, the convolution and the IR is the same thing, I think. I think that's just two different words for the same technology or the same terminology. And usually the only reason those verbs exist is to sample other verbs usually, or sample spaces that you may not can afford to record in or whatever. So so with those two being eliminated, it's just whatever works. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with the EMT 250 or the 140 or Brent Rader sent some tracks in here the other day, and he had the Universal Audio 224, and it sounded great too. Yeah. Reverb is fine. The Valhalla I'm going to try out.
TL Space, really good. I'm a big proponent.
I mean, I really don't think you can go wrong, and I think you nailed it when you said it's whatever works. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to experiment, see if it sounds good the next day, and if it does, use it again.
The MixCoach podcast takes both submitted questions from our free members and live questions from our pro members. And if you would like to submit a question or find out how to become a pro member, head over to mixcoach.com/free.